Good evening here in Europe. Good morning in California, I guess. Hi, Pernilla. Yeah. And our Integral Somatic Psychology trainer in Denmark. There. Okay, shall we begin? So we only have an hour. I will stay a little longer to answer questions. Um, this is part one. This is one of a three-part series um, titled To Attract You as Shadowing Dr. Selvam. And so many of you signed up. Um, you know, uh, Many of you will watch it on video. All of you will get a recording, to of the event. Yeah, in case you have to leave early or you cannot stay for Q&A. Yeah. Um, the subtitle of these three events, we will do more, I hope, is working with trauma deeper, safer, and faster. Yeah. To get to the crux of the matter as quickly as possible in a safe way. How do you make it safe? The fear is often if I work with the body, I do need to work with the body, not just to improve trauma treatment, for that matter, any treatment. The science is overwhelming now that any modality that does not also work with the body, whether it's working with trauma, whether it's working with ordinary difficulties, will not have as good outcomes as another modality or another therapist in the same modality who has found a way to work with the body at the same time. This is science of embodied cognition, emotion, and behavior I write about in my book. Yeah. Now, there's at the same time fear that when we work with the body, things can come up very quickly and overwhelm the client and the therapist. We also often run into it in somatic experiencing training community, of which I've been a part, for over 30 years. And then how do you do that? How do you not be afraid of it? How can you take people in and out, and then safely means both for the client and the therapist, and then faster. What does faster mean? The process is faster, and what? The resolution happens faster. That's the idea. And I wrote a blog, and I'll show you what it is, and we'll send you a link to it. There are many ways in which, in integral somatic psychology, we work with not just with trauma, but any experience deeper, safer, and faster. How do we do that? And there are different ways, different aspects of how we make it happen that I've outlined in the blog that I'll send you a link to. But we're going to look at what does it look like in sessions with outcomes. Yeah, that's what we're going to be looking at. I'm Raja Selvam. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a licensed clinical psychologist. I'm licensed in the state of California in the United States. I'm calling from Germany. And I've been an SC faculty member, somatic experiencing faculty member, which is, by the way, the most popular, not only most popular, most used somatic trauma modality in the world among trauma therapists. It's also is becoming the most used body psychotherapy system in the world. So I've been very proud to be part of the growth and right from the beginning. And next year, I will be starting the 30th year of my life as somatic experiencing faculty member. Yeah. And I met Peter Levine in 94 and I started training with him right away. I finished my training in 96 and he started to teach, asked me to teach in 97. Yeah, so that's as far back the history goes. And Louise here, I think I met her early on in that journey. Yeah. So let us. How do you, in a way, the work itself of integral somatic psychology and the practice of embodying emotions has come out of that process of working, teaching, and working with trauma in over 24 countries on 6 continents. Finding how to make it more effective. What is lacking? This is the product we have here. That's quite distilled and um, I will send you, references to read about it. But for now, what do we do that can help you to work with trauma deeper, safer, and faster? Right? Let's look at what are the characteristics. I'm going to share now. So, okay. So, ISP. Integral somatic psychology works with all of our bodies, not just with a physical body or what is called the individual gross body in the East. This is I write about it in another blog. I will send you an article too. What is called the one body era in Western, in not just Western psychology and somatics. If you have 4 bodies that contribute to experience and regulating experience, just working with one body in a myopically, if we can relax that constraint and work with other bodies in a simple way, then we can improve our outcomes. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do that today. I mean, you will not be able to, learn it completely. It's not a training, but what you need to focus on is that how you can work with it in a very simple way. It's not something esoteric that you have to go to an energy school to learn to do that. Yeah. And the second thing that ISP does is that it works with emotion in the body at the level of emotions, not sensations. Because almost all body psychotherapy approaches, especially the modern ones, make a critical mistake in assuming that emotion in the body is nothing but sensations. So they go to sensations. You know what happens then? The emotion gets neutralized. It regulates it to some extent, but at the core, the information and the emotion is not used. That's the second one. I explained that in the article. And what else do we do? We expand the emotional experiences throughout the body. That's the practice of embodying emotion. That sounds crazy. If you have a fear of dying, to expand it in the chest, to expand it throughout the body. But it is solidly based on science that shows that only when an emotional experience is expanded in as much of the body as possible is the emotion more tolerable. Not only that, then the brain has plenty of time to analyze the situation. And this we have, science of embodied emotions to base our intervention on, and it works well. You will see that today. Very often people think, accessing emotion is difficult. My client has no access to emotions. That's because we're thinking of emotion in a narrow way. Even feeling bad or overwhelmed with this emotion, it can be experienced in the body and expanded. And then what else do? We focus on building capacity for the emotion so that in future traumas or difficult experiences, it doesn't lead to symptoms. And 5, ISP works with emotion and physiological dysregulation in the body at the same time. This is very important. There are many times when the two are confounded. If you focus on regulating the body, then you lose the emotion, because unpleasant emotion is a state of dysregulation. You lose that. And then if you focus on emotion and not focus on the physical dysregulation, it gets worse, and the people dissociate. but we can work with both at the same time through the practice of embodying emotions. So, these are you can read in the blog a little more about the logic behind each of these statements. But today we're going to be looking at a recent demo I did in a training, actually the last demo, I think, of the 12-day training that we did. And I'll tell you a little bit about it and then show you pieces of the demo. Yeah, we'll get there. So let me see. So here's a client. I'll tell you a little bit of history, right? The client loses her best friend, and within a period of 2 months, she loses one cat that just stops eating and dies. After a week, the other cat also dies. So grief stricken, she cannot overcome it. She can only cry. She can only cry when she thinks of the grief. Now, the history, history, the symptoms, not able to, that is not able, anguish. She can only cry, right? And she's diabetic, and the sugar levels measured through the continuous glucose monitor, it goes up, skyrockets. The doctor had to double her medication, diabetic medication, right? And then she starts to lose sensation below the elbow, numbing. These are the symptoms. And this could be peripheral neuropathy from high blood sugar levels, right? It could be. Yeah. Or it could be what? It could be a psychophysiological symptom. Yeah. Or both, right? I mean, a symptom of diabetes and psychophysiological symptom. So that's what we are presented with, right? And looking at a history, it's a history of trauma. 3 traumas in which she had near-death experiences, right? Once during, let's see, give me a second here. Yeah, 3 near-death experiences. One in near-drowning accident. One during a surgery. One in another context. I don't remember which one. But other traumas. Her husband, ex-husband now, thankfully, beats her unconscious and causes spinal cord injury, from which her trigeminal nerve is damaged and she suffers from pain for 2 years, with 5 neurologists pretty much saying, it's not going to heal. I think it's going to lead to death. This is what she said during the thing. But she healed it. She went to Pakistan, found a homeopath who gave her, she thinks, spider venom, and then that healed the pain. Yeah. So, but you can think about the trauma, shock in the system. Yeah. So we are so if you have something like that, and if you have something heavy, emotional trauma, loss, the two will interact and worsen the physiological difficulty, which makes it harder to feel the feel, and tolerate and process the emotion. This is how psychophysiological symptoms form. In the somatic experiencing, we would classify this case as a syndromal case, right? Psych, physic, emotional symptoms and what? Physiological symptoms with so much dysregulation. Yeah. So let's look at. So we are looking at what? We are looking at. I'm thinking we are looking at what? Heartache, right? Grief, loss. So we can think of these things, right? And the reason why I'm choosing to present this case is because this looks like long-term work that's going to take a long time. This is what, yeah. So we're looking at working with trauma, what? Deeper, safer, and faster in terms of not only process but resolution. So what happens after the? I'll tell you the outcome, yeah, and then you can look at what we did to facilitate such a quick turnaround, yeah. So she didn't want to volunteer. She finally volunteered the last demo of the training, an online training, not very long ago. I think it was September. And I will actually tell you what she wrote. Actually, let me do that. I hope I can find it. Yeah. Yeah. Hi, Raja. This is the email I get a few days after the demo. I just wanted to say thank you for all your help. I don't know why I was so afraid to do the demo, but I'm glad I did. I continue to notice that things are getting better. I have a 30-minute drive each way to work. I can now drive without both of my hands going numb. It's probably 80% better in my left arm and 50% better on the right. Yeah. But I was delighted to see my glucose finally come down. A couple of months ago, my doctor doubled my diabetes medication. No matter what I did, fasting, no carbohydrates, exercising, in addition to the higher dosage, my numbers stayed elevated. Starting the morning after a session, it dropped by 100 mgdl. I can watch it on my continuous glucose monitor even when I eat now. I'm staying in range, right? I'm attaching a screenshot of what happened after training between going to sleep and waking up the next morning. Yeah. It's nothing short of miraculous. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And it's not that I worked a miracle because we were working with the principles that I showed you in the blog. We were using all these elements. Yeah. So let me show you the let me see if I can see. That's what she showed me. You know, it was around there, it didn't come, boom, it comes down. Yeah. So let's see. And then I will go further. And then I said, please keep in touch. And I will read it later. So let's look at what we did. Let's look at what we did. She wrote to me and said, my sugar level is still down and my hands are still okay. That's what she wrote, about a week or 10 days later. I will read it later. But what did we do? We started with, we went straight to the subtle body. We have four, let's say our body consists of four levels. In terms of the Eastern psychology, the individual gross body, what we call this physical body that goes from the womb to the tomb. Then we have we have the individual subtle body. It's a subtle means because it's difficult to measure or perceive, right? Therefore, we kept inferred that the Easterners 3,000, 4,000 years ago with talking about what? From what we know from quantum physics, subatomic level body, right? And now people do perceive them, right? In near-death experiences and out-of-body experiences, they actually perceive it, but not while in the body. And some people are, train themselves to see it, but it's not important that you see it or you can measure it for you to work with it. And that's what we're going to show. So the heart center, from the heart center, the subtle body consists of 7 levels. And we actually ended up working with 3 levels or elements, 3 centers in this particular demonstration. And this was, I think, this was why it was also very effective, because when you work with the subtle body, it has more resources than the gross body because it remains alive. Even when you're dying, it's there. It's not dying. So, and I don't want to go into it. You can look at another article I will send you, the one body error, and there you can look at the 4 different bodies. But that's not important. We're going to be working with heart center is very important for emotion. Yeah, the heart center in the subtle body. And so if you get hurt and if you block the heart center, that element is low, air element. That's a layer of the subtle body. So if you want to work at the level of the subtle body, access emotions, especially emotions that are in the way of love. Ultimately, if the heart is free, it'll be unconditionally loving, right? That's what it is. It's a great resource. And if you work with the heart center, even if you work with it a little bit, you capture the resource. Like if there's pain and in the heart from losing somebody, and you work with it, that chakra and that element, the center and the element, you're not only accessing what? The pain that is in the way of healing, but also what? So that you can work with it by what? Expanding it through the body, but also you can also accessing its energy, the experience of love to some extent, whether it's conscious or not, to help heal the wound. It's like nothing. What is better to heal pain in the heart than love, right? And that's just a natural resource physically from opening the area. So we're going to start with that. So without further talk, I'm going to take you to okay. Yeah.
It's frustration that I've lost
Yeah.
almost everyone in my life.
Yeah.
And a an anger that
Yeah.
I felt I've been trying very hard to be a very good wave,
Mm.
and I have
Yeah.
tried
Yeah. And you
so hard to
hurt.
control.
You're hurting. I can see that you're really hurting. No? Can you sense the hurt?
Do sense the hurt. Since
Hurt.
the
Yeah. Number one thing that's important for working with emotion is what? Empathy and sympathy. It doesn't matter how much work you do with the body, you have to what? Empathize and sympathize with the client to come up with the emotion and stay with the emotion. Yeah, that's so the hurt. Here, so I'm going to have you do the hurt is an emotion, right? And that is often the most difficult thing in the loss, not sadness, but the hurt underneath. Express the hurt through vocalization. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah. And put a hand there, the other hand on your large intestine. just above the belly button. So we'll use. Oh, can you see me? Spotlight me for a second. Is it possible, Luis? So they can show them the position. So one hand on the heart, one hand on the large intestine, that's above the belly button. Yeah. So that actually helps to mobilize the air element from the heart center and distribute it in the body. What makes an emotion very difficult is when it's concentrated in one area. We try to uh, eliminate it from everywhere else, and we try to you know block it. And despite it, we're feeling it. Some of us just cut the body off, and we don't feel anything below the neck. We've successfully what? Reduced the suffering. Yeah, we might obsess about it and have cry and have headaches and all that, but it's not in the body. But if it's in the body, it is, and we tend to constrict the subtle body to limited area, which actually makes it more difficult. So one of the principles is what? To expand the subtle body to more places in the body so that wherever it is stimulating hurt or grief, it is not excessive. That's the principle. And the way we do that here, I mean, to spread it to the belly and the chest is to do that. The air element, yeah. And it's like we use a map of the subtle body and the gross body, like an acupuncture map. So yeah.
And it just moves to anger.
Yeah. So let's push the anger out a little bit. That's okay.
What?
It might be relevant.
I know. I think I go to anger because I don't want to feel the hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also okay to feel anger. The anger is a defense for her. She has been angry about God and everything. So I'm trying to gently interpret it away so that she can stay with the hurt. Because when, things that, things like that happen, one can be angry with God. No? Yeah. So, but
I was angry with all of them.
Yeah. So be with that hurt. Yeah. Ouch. Yeah. Where does it hurt?
Just feels like it's moving deeper into my heart.
Deeper. Yeah. So go. Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's clenching up.
Yeah. The clenching is happening against the hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. The clenching is happening. So in fact, I'm going to have you to bring one leg on the other so that the lower hand is actually on your lower leg. So we go to the lower zone of the yeah. It went too much here. So this is what I'm asking you to do. Just expanding it to this area, maybe it might not have worked, or it was not enough. There's too much here, emotion, energy driving the emotion. So what you do is that you go to the lower leg, because I know from the model of the subtle body you use that these two areas are connected to the distribution of the air element. Yeah. And so that's the intervention. You cannot see it, so I'm showing it to you. Yeah. Too much energy here, too much energy here. So let's dilute this area a little bit so that you can bear the hurt. So,
I just don't want to hurt anymore. Like
no, but you're hurting because three losses in a row can hurt like hell.
it did hurt like hell.
Yeah, because your heart is bonded with all three, and it hurts. And it's harder to feel the hurt than have sadness, cry, etc. So
Yeah.
the, also breathe into it so that you can allow it to spread. Yeah, yeah.
It's like emotional indigestion, right?
Emotional injury. When people have hurt in the heart, they say that when you look at the brain scan of those individuals, it looks like there's a physical injury there. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is. Yeah. So,
This Raja hurt more than anything else.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
I've lost a lot of things and I
Yeah,
made it through and I fought through and like I was okay and this just felt like an unfair blow. It was like, come on, my best friend
yeah,
and both of my pets, like what did I do in
yeah,
another
yeah,
life, right? Like
yeah.
what like, was I
The kind of process she has been doing since all this happened, it doesn't help. Yeah. And what's going to help is to feel it and to expand it in the body to develop capacity for it. That we know gives the brain the optimal information to process the whole situation. So part of it is not letting her just go into the usual way of processing it. That doesn't it's like reliving it. Yeah. So
killing puppies? Like what the hell?
yeah. So stay with the hurt
Oh, I know it's just it keeps switching to anger. Um,
because it pulls your energy up. Pulls your energy up. And into your brain. Yeah. So
it's getting bigger and deeper. Um,
yeah.
like
The
my
hurt.
heart
No.
got punched.
Yeah.
What it
So
feels like.
so you got hurt. Loss hurts. So loss hurts. So yeah, you
That's
got
why I liked your philosophy this morning. I was like,
no. Here it's another level. No, you have to create. The only way to resolve the hurt is to actually feel it
yeah.
and deal with it so that you can, you come out of it. Yeah,
Well, it's bigger and deeper. It's
yeah,
working.
yeah, yeah. Where else? Where bigger in the chest or is it going to the
Yeah, like
belly?
just
Yeah. So now the emotional hurt is in the belly too, right? It didn't happen when we just did that belly and the center in the belly and the center in the heart, but it did work. It pulled it down. So what it does is that when the subtle body is pulled down, the hurt isn't as much, and then the body can open up here. And you could also see that she was breathing better. So yeah,
it
yeah,
it's it's
yeah,
expanding.
yeah. It's terrible. I mean, the hurt. Yeah. So this is what loss hurt. This is how it feels to lose
Like
someone.
my soul ripping. I don't know. It
Yeah,
feels
yeah, yeah. It would.
very
It
terrible.
yeah. When such a hurt happens in your gross body, it will affect the subtle body. So yeah. So yeah,
It's not moving into my ribs or my back. It's just like
yeah. It's then. It's
it's
then.
there. It's like a bowling ball.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to have you do something. Uh, let's do ether on your leg. The hip joint and the ankle
Yeah.
joint. Yeah. Okay. The ether element associated with the throat center. Now, there are many qualities of this element, but essentially it opens up the whole body. It can regulate the brain and the body at the gross level. That's what it's capable of. You know, in fact, this is what I teach when I teach SC at the advanced level. I teach people the ether element so that they can work with global high intensity activation of the central nervous system. You know, it's it's to go one step above, not just go down and regulate the body to regulate the brain down. That can takes a long time, or it might not be easy to do. You know, so the idea is to to because it's clenching. The hurt is there, and she processed some of it. She has more capacity. It has expanded, but the gross body is doing what? Like a little ball, and it became a bigger ball, right? So, how do we expand it? Expand the physiology to even process the hurt a little more. And so we go to the ether element. It's almost like we're going higher from here to here, right? And we go to the legs. Why? Because a lot of it is here, as it would be. Because where is the hurt going to be from loss? Here more than any other place. So we go to the legs, and to do what? To open up the whole system, but also to pull the energy down. So this can open up and make the hurt more bearable, by redistributing the energy. That's a practice of embodying emotion, to distribute it more. Let's see. And what I've asked her to do is to go to the hip joint and to the ankle joint. So this is, we know places in the body we need to, so there's nothing, it's very, very concrete because we have a map of the subtle body and the gross body. And by connecting two places, we are mobilizing the ether element now in the subtle body with certain qualities to bring it down, to open this area up, but also to expand, expand from the spine. And we'll see why that is important in the second round. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The hip joint and the ankle joint. Yeah. So.
Okay. So burp.
Yeah. So it'll help to. We're trying to pull the energy down, and expand here. So.
Yeah.
We can also could have gone to the arm, and which I will go to, but right now let's expand the whole body a bit and regulate it too, because it's still very painful, and that's why
It is,
the
but this
heart.
this helped so quickly. It helped so quickly. Like
Yeah,
it feels like there's more space in my chest, but I
yeah.
don't I don't care
Notice,
how bad it hurts. Like I will sit here
no,
and do it,
no,
Raja.
yeah, we're going to do it. We just got started, but let's give it a break, because if we push it too hard, it will instinctually close down, no? And then, yeah, so it's good. So notice that there's more space here. Yeah. And
There's more space here, and then I feel in the very top of my head like tingling right up here.
okay, let it happen there. Yeah. So when you
So
open
much
up one
better.
center, yeah,
Yeah.
the other
So
centers
now
will
come
out
also
of it
open.
this way. So we're going to integrate this cycle. So yeah, you can see the expansion of the breath, right? Can you feel
Mhm.
the energy moving down?
Um, I mean, as soon as I touched my hip, it moved.
Yeah, it went.
Um,
Huh? So that's good, because there was so much energy there. That's why you could feel it. Yeah. So remember this for your own process. When the hurt
yeah,
comes back,
yeah,
then you could do the ether.
absolutely.
Vocalize it. Vocalize it and let it spread. And then, use the air element, and then go. to ether. Yeah. So yeah,
Excuse me. I mean, it's
it's okay.
definitely, I cannot
Yeah,
believe how well
because
this is working. Okay.
okay.
Whew. Okay.
Yeah. So move your neck around a bit. The reason why I'm asking you to move around is because the back of my neck is so painful, tight. That is interpersonal resonance. You're resonating with them. This is another thing we teach, how to use your own body experience to get to know the client's experience. Also, how to use your own body and through electromagnetically and quantum mechanically to help regulate the other person. This is very important in emotional regulation, right? We read it in the attachment literature, and that can be done. That can be done. I write about it in the last chapter in the book, interpersonal resonance. You can read it and then you can implement some of it. Um, so let's see what. So I'm sensing this, and this back of the neck is very important for so many different reasons. We don't have the time to go into it, but we will see why this becomes important in the next cycle. Yeah. So I just noticed it. So and yeah, yeah,
Ugh.
just a little bit. Yeah. So yeah. If the back of the neck, that's where the nerves that go into the arms come from. It's like that. It's regulated. You can have what? Numbness, not only in the forearm, but the whole arm. So I thought that was a good thing and now that she has had some capacity to deal with the hurt, the areas are open and this tightness is coming into view, into my awareness, but also in her awareness when I pointed it out. Let's see what happens.
Okay.
Take your time. Just
Um, I feel whatever was in my neck is moving down my spine. Like it feels
okay.
2/3 of the way down my spine now.
Great. Great. Yeah. Yeah. Remember that she had spinal cord injury. She was beaten unconscious, while she was actually still bleeding from a miscarriage. Yeah. Because she didn't want to go to a party. So I'm glad that she got rid of him quickly. Yeah. So top to bottom balance, you're noticing. Yeah.
Much more balance, yeah.
Yeah. So when you create space for the emotion, the body opens, and then, we also use the ether element. So it opens up from the core. Yeah. So
Hmm. Thank you.
you're welcome. Yeah.
Hmm.
So you have a way of processing. That is one cycle, you know, situation, emotion, support, and then expansion regulation through very powerful techniques. We're not relying on tracking our body sensations because we find tracking of body sensation to be a weak tool and a difficult tool. It's very difficult to teach clients how to do that. It takes time. And then for the heavy load of trauma, you need a crowbar, not a matchstick. So sometimes tracking body sensation is like a matchstick. And it cannot go into places where the body is shut down. Whereas when you use stronger techniques like the ones we're using, it opens the body, accesses the difficult experience, supports the difficult experience, and then, even regulates its return to health. Yeah. So that's a big part of, and not we're not only using gross body techniques. My book, The Practice of Embodying Emotions, Improving Outcomes, Cognitive Behavioral Outcomes, Emotional Outcomes, and all can be used for all therapists, only works for the gross body, based on science. But when we start to bring in the subtle body, the results we find are multiple. It's exponential actually, as you can see here. So let's go further and hurt. The hurt
Yeah.
will be there. It takes time, and it's important as you work with it also to give yourself relief by distributing energy down. With the air element or the ether element. Ether element is very important, as you know. It regulates the central nervous system, and you have had injury to the central nervous system,
Yeah,
right?
unfortunately.
And if you were to somebody were to touch your spine, it might bring up hurt more than pain more than but it's better to work with it away from it. So, and then at some point you'll be able to work with it directly.
I think my chest was hurting so much I wasn't even paying attention to my neck.
Yeah, yeah. The neck is from the neck, right? You have remember the neck segment, diaphragm, but all the superficial muscles of the upper and the lower back, but especially the arms.
Yeah.
This is the brachial plexus, no? So part of it. So I always educate clients with what I've observed, what techniques work, educate them so that they can use it as a self-help tool. Because emotions come in waves. And so they need to be able to handle it. Otherwise, they're going to be calling you. That we don't have to deal with if we teach them how to do it. Remember, people remember things that really help them with pain, right? So you can, as self-help, we teach them. So I'll tell you what happened. It's like she told me a lot about the history of being beaten up next, which I'm not going to go into, and and the different near-death experiences. Then when there's more space, she's associating the reactions that were also tapped into in the current trauma. That's how it works, right? The body will recruit the earlier trauma pattern that has not been resolved when you have a current trauma. She had a near-death experience from as a child, a near-death out-of-body experience from low sugar, and during which she nearly died. Yeah, and she was out of the body going toward death. And then during a surgery, so she died 3 times. And you know what she said? It was so peaceful. Every time I went out, I didn't want to come back to this hell of the body. Yeah. And then somehow she got pushed back, or somebody told her to come back, something like that, she said. Then I said, it's a demo, right? I'm always, trying to do more because I get one chance to work with clients and I try to push it. You know what I did next? I said, let's go deeper into the heart. And of course, when you do that, you need to be flexible enough. When you notice that it doesn't work, what do you need to do? You need to backtrack. So we went for the more differentiated emotion of missing them. Yeah, missing. That's hurtful, right? The pain of missing her cat, Thor, the older cat. And it's like it was so difficult. She was crying a lot. And we were trying to manage that, without the pain of it and expressing it through the face and the mouth is very important because if you clamp it down, the brain doesn't get enough information, especially if this area is not available to emotion. Then we use the ether element, which worked earlier. We tried, not only at the legs. See, when you work with the ether at the arms, joints of the arms, it opens up the area above the diaphragm more. in addition to opening up the whole body, right? Ether does that, right? That didn't work. We went to the leg, it didn't work, and at some point, uh, I just decided it's too much for her to also work with that layer, you know, and so so I'll tell you what happened after that. So it's again a trial and error process, right? You try to see whether you can to get one more round out of it. The deeper pain of loneliness, missing the person, that hurts like hell. We tried to do that. She felt a little bit of it. And then you know what she did? She came out and she was talking. Why did this happen to me? It just went on and on. So that's a long segment that I'm not going to show you. But it did not work. So um, um, so I'm going to fast forward. It didn't work. So 30th, let's see. Yeah. So another thing, a powerful technique you can do is to hold the brain stem in the back and the forehead in the front, the prefrontal cortex. That's a gross body technique. When things are overwhelmed in the body, you can go here and you can regulate the body. And that's what we did to get her out. We'd taken her in, and it was too much for her. She was in a head, etc. So we were trying to regulate her, to bring her back to a sense, to a place of regulation before deciding what else to do. So 30. So let's go here. And for those of you who want to see the whole demo, we'll also give you a link. You can go back and look at what happened, what didn't work, what we tried, and what didn't work. So, and slide the back. What?
I was just gonna say this has been harder than anything else for me.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Um,
Yeah, and bring that lower up backhand to your neck, yeah, and the front hand to your large intestine.
oh, that feels good.
Yeah, take your time.
Mm.
Take your time. Shift No,
Mm.
wait a minute. I think I went too far. Um, yeah, let's see. So I shifted to the earth element because
Oh,
essentially the idea was that the earth element can give you containment. Yeah. But the earth element can also make you things feel more substantively in the body. And the reason why people give up the earth element is because things feel too awful. And so, and when do things feel most awful? When you're traumatized, right? Especially PTSD and so on. And so, but then when you go to the earth element, you can provide the containment, which makes better, but also you can access the shock and etc. So my intention at that point in time was just because the neck was important earlier, etc. So I went there, right? Let's see what happens. So the way we're working
my
with
whole
the
body feels hot.
earth element is back of the neck and the large intestine. So that's a these are the two places, or two of the three places you could work with. So let's see what happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
As soon as we did this, like everywhere, I feel heat.
Yeah. Including your forearms.
Yes, including my
Good.
forearms and
Okay,
my
good.
hands. Like literally, I feel like I just entered a sauna.
Yeah. 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 So give it time. Give it time.
back of my neck really is tense. Whew.
And you could even take the lower hand to your knee.
Okay,
That's another spot for the earth element. So,
I want to switch them.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, when I switched it, Raja, the back of my neck feels like it's on fire. It's
Mhm.
not. It's like actively burning.
Mhm. Yeah. This feels hot. So,
Yeah.
mhm. Yeah.
And also like more snot is draining out of the left side of my face.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the injuries when I got beat up, it all happened on the left side of my body.
Mhm.
Um, oh. Hmm. My kind of like my lower pelvis, my root chakra area
Mhm.
hurts.
Yeah. So it'll be the earth element, no? So you're facilitating the earth element. So,
Mm.
yeah.
Like it hurts like I was starting my period kind of hurts. That's
Mhm.
not what's happening. I don't have
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
uterus anymore.
Okay. Okay.
um
She was beaten while she was still bleeding from the miscarriage. So
but it's the whole area is really intensely cramping.
yeah, yeah. See where they can just allow it
Yeah.
to open up. Yeah, because when you have a survival traumas, no, then the root chakra tends to be involved. So in
Mm,
part, uh, what it does is you remember that if you feel your body,
mm,
it hurts more. So one way to not feel the body as much is to increase the, to close down the, to reduce the earth element in the body.
mhm,
Yeah.
mm,
So then you end up losing differentiation and containment from that. Yeah. So,
mm, mm. The cramping stopped. It still just feels uncomfortable. Um,
yeah, yeah. So try not to focus on it. Let it be in the background and notice whether the body is settling.
Yeah, everything else is settling.
Yeah, let it settle.
Just that hurts. Mm.
Yeah.
My left forearm isn't numb anymore,
Mhm. Mhm.
but my right one is. Um,
Yeah. You could do the ether element hold on the left forearm. In order to do that, uh, you put your right leg on your left leg,
okay.
Mhm.
Wait,
and
but
then
this one's okay. This
okay,
is
I
the
know
one that's numb.
we're going. So
Oh,
the
okay.
right leg is on the left leg thigh, right?
Okay.
And
Yep.
then so that the wrist, the right wrist on your knee, right knee, yeah.
Mhm.
And then the other hand, the left hand goes to your shoulder.
Okay.
So we're using the ether element in integration. That is, integration is the step where we are reaping the benefits of of uh, a piece of work we've done. You know, working with shock or working with pain. Yeah. So or even elbow. Go to the elbow, right elbow. Yeah.
Yeah. So impressed with like how quickly that moves things.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
was just like whoosh, like all this energy in my hand.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it. And let's see what she says uh,
Mm.
a little later. In the beginning, it'll spread and then it'll recede, right? And then it'll become like a moon that wanes, and then the connection will be there because the restored connection in the memory is part of the healing
Mm.
and the feeling of it. Yeah. So, yeah.
And what would the
Eh,
osteopath do if I'm like,
No, I don't know because I wondered if there's a lot of congestion around the neck he could work with,
mm,
but I would just give it time. I would just give it time, So.
okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Raja.
Thank you. So let's go to the class. They might have a question. So what she said was, I'm going to read it because over time, she said just a little before, she said, but I don't think I have been able to think of him, her friend, positively without crying since he died until now. That's what she said before a few minutes ago, a couple of minutes ago. So we're going to give you access to this video, so you can actually go back and watch it leisurely. Given the description, you'll also get this recording, but you'll get this session also. Yeah, so you can watch it. We've taken a little bit of the history, we have cut it out, but to make it shorter. So that's what you have. And I'm going to read what she wrote, the second one. Uh, uh, yeah. Now, uh, yeah. So I'll read here. She said, I'll always be grateful to Peter Levine for showing me how to incorporate the body into treatment. Yeah. SC absolutely works, no doubt. But then she trained in SC and then she trained in ISP. Now, SCI is sponsoring the ISP training as an affiliate in North America for this reason. But the difference between it's a postgraduate training for SC trainees, it makes sense that it would also add more to the what people have gotten from SC. No? So she says, but the difference between SC and ISP, both modalities let you talk to the body, but ISP does so much more. Once I began using it as a therapist, my clients reported feeling better in a fraction of the time. It seemed like the window of tolerance was becoming wider, and when new traumas happened, they had more capacity to tolerate the suffering, which she got to experience herself. It's amazing that we can actually help other people, even when we are suffering, right? So, I recently experienced ISP's power firsthand. My best friend and both my cats died within days of each other. The stress of these events was aggravating my diabetes. No matter what I did, exercising, low carbs, fasting, my glucose stayed elevated. I supposed to keep it below 120 mgdl, and mine was running between 200 and 300 mgdl. I also began to experience numbness in my arms and the elbows down 2 months ago. My doctor felt like she had no choice but to double my dosage of medication. Nothing changed. It wasn't until I had the ISP session that my glucose dropped by half the following morning. 4 days later, it was still in a healthy range. A lot of my numbness is gone, and I was able to visit my friend's grave today. Instead of feeling like my heart was going to rip in two, I could breathe. I could remember good things about the last 36 years we spent together. For the first time in months, I finally felt hopeful. So that is the second email I got from her about after the first email. So that's why I wanted to share this with you. And the remember what we do. We are actually using the power of the resources of the other bodies, and we are using strong tools that don't require the client to actually look for the experience themselves through striking body sensations, and to access the trauma, to hold the trauma, to regulate the trauma by expanding the emotional experience, but also accessing resources in the body to support whatever process that we're doing, and so there are different things. So whether you're working with trauma or with ordinary experiences, by adding, ISP to your toolkit, you can do much better. And then in the months to come, I will actually show you different different demonstrations, the clinical sessions, and we'll talk about the outcomes. And I can't teach you these techniques here because this is not training, but I want to show you how it's relatively simple it is, so that it's not something mysterious or difficult to learn. Yeah, and so that's what I want to share with you. So I'm going to stop sharing and come to the main room and see if there are any questions in the chat. Yeah, let me see if I can get a recruiter here, volunteer to do that. Let's see. Yeah, but there is a hand there. Felian Shen? Yeah, Felian Shen? Yeah. So, hi. Where are you from, Felian?
California.
Okay, good. Where in California?
Central Valley. I'll be in your session in March next year, the
Okay,
advanced
okay,
training.
okay.
Thank you. This is so helpful. It's just kind of yeah, cool. I have a real quick question.
Yeah,
It's kind of very different from that pendulation thing, when you kind of try.
yeah,
So she was saying, I don't want it to hurt anymore. But usually in SE, you kind of do a bit of pendulation, right? But you were
yeah.
you did something opposite, like you
Mm.
push kind of her
Yeah.
to keep going, feeling that hurt. So, can you comment on how do you know it's enough? Like you're pushing, and then how do you know it's enough? Not going over.
I well, you have a sense. You see them breathing. You have a sense. It's. And if it's too much, then you backtrack. We're giving them very powerful tools to regulate them, to have the capacity to go through the suffering. Right?
Okay.
If it's too much, it's a trial and error process. If it's too much, what we remember the second cycle you haven't seen. You can go back and watch that. We saw that we're going into the painful experience of emptiness, no? From missing somebody. The body said no. The brain said no. And what happened? She went into her head and she was talking about all the things she did to save them. And why is it happening to her? And at one point, and I said, is this what you've been doing for the last 2 months? She says, absolutely. This is angry. And so then what do? You switch, right? You bring in a more powerful tool and then, regulate. Um, because working at the subtle level was too much at that level. So we came down and used the brain touch positions. So that's how we do it. So, yeah.
So kind of follow intuition in that moment is important as well, right?
No, not intuition. You can see it.
Yeah,
You
but
can see
then
that
that's
the person.
related to experience, right? But if you're like a new therapist,
Everything depends on experience, but when the person is actually going away from the process into defensive processing, you know that right now they don't have the capacity. That you can. There are three ways to approach that. One is to give them more emotional support to feel that. Two is to give them very powerful body tools to support that. But we were giving them we were giving both. But despite that, she was not able to go deeper into the hurt of missing. So therefore, what did we do? We said, okay, let's just shift, you know,
Mhm.
and then I didn't expect it, and then we went to the earth element. We provided the containment, and then a bit of the shock came through. Remember she was beaten unconscious. We were working with the neck. That came through, but that was very short. You could barely call it a cycle. So essentially, we did one cycle, really.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Stacy.
Hi, thank you. That was amazing to watch, really. I was curious about the embodying emotion. You allow the emotions to spread and how you did it through the ether body. I was fascinated by when you went to the earth element and worked with the pain. And I'm wondering if it works similar, like if you have pain, you had multiple physical injuries. So as you proceed through that, when you have someone with a lot of physical trauma, can it work the same? And let's say she has severe neck pain. Would you spread that? This might be beyond this class. Would you use the earth element to allow that to spread in a similar kind of way?
It's hard to. I cannot answer that
Right.
because the intervention is based on many things I know about the client. But
Right.
I can answer this. If there's a physical injury, there's nothing
Mm.
to be gained by expanding the pain of physical injury. That's an organic problem. It's beyond the scope of psychology, it's the scope of medicine. If it's organic pain,
Right. That
right?
that
However, if the pain, at least some component of the pain happens to be psychophysiological, then of course vocalization, facial expression, expansion of the pain through the body will help. Yeah. So I cannot say, that's why I can say, yeah. So,
no, I'm an osteopath, so that's why I was so interested in moving the
yeah.
pain that way. So thank you.
No, you cannot. Not when it's organic injury. You cannot move it. If it's organic pain, then it has to be treated osteopathically or through medication, etc. So, yeah, structural work is needed. Yeah. So, but 1/3 of the symptoms, or 1/4 to 1/3 of the symptoms, people present medical doctors, osteopaths, are what? Psychophysiological. Either the pain keeps moving around or the same pain comes back,
Right.
right? Then then you say, well, I need to refer you to a psychotherapist friend of mine, but and you also get to know them. They're telling you their story, right? And then you know that they need to work psychologically, and you tell them they resist. You know why? Because people with psychophysiological symptoms want a physiological medical solution. Because deep down, they know it's very painful to access and work with the emotions, and they often don't have enough psychological insight. People with psychophysiological symptoms have, poor insight, access to affect, plus some trauma. So then they're just going from one body worker to another, one doctor to another. So but you can't work very effectively. We worked with the psychophysiological symptom, right? I mean, it turned out to be a psychophysiological symptom, right? So yeah, okay.
That was amazing to
Works
watch.
very well.
Yeah.
Works very well. Works very well. In fact, I actually, did wrote an article for body workers in the UK, and about how to get the clients to some insight about the psychological roots of their pain, so that they can refer them out for, and the way to do that is to then have them express it through the throat and the face. And this area has the ability to convert emotions and somatic symptoms into more recognizable emotions. So, yeah, thank you. Yeah, Salma.
Yes, Dr. Raja, I just had two brief questions. One is when you were doing the interpersonal resonance, and I've been reading that in your book also, you asked her to move her neck. Is it important to check with the client, I feel this way, do you feel it, or educate them about interpersonal resonance? Or if we have a strong intuition, we can anyways go ahead and ask them to do it?
Yeah,
What?
go ahead. It's a trial and error process, right?
Okay.
So
So
you
it's
can
not
do it. You can
check
do it.
with.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Also, I think she was
If
a
it doesn't,
yeah.
if it doesn't work, you just let it go.
Okay, so it's not important to check, I feel this way, how do you feel? That's not needed. Okay.
No.
Okay. And also, doctor, when you were taking her through the whole process, you were talking about the ether element and the, heart chakra and all. Maybe because she was also a student. When we are working with clients,
Yeah.
yeah, so with clients, is there a need to address the chakras, or we can work
No.
on cross body?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. Every operation is on the gross body. And
Okay.
clients know from working with you that if they connect two places in the body, the two places will connect in energy and possibly emotion, right? So
Yeah.
just because you're using the subtle body map to connect these two places, they understand it as having to do with the same process. So there's no need to bring in theory that most people, don't understand because they're so caught up in one body error. Yeah.
Yeah. So just the basic psychoeducation, energy, 2 points, we are tolerating it. That is enough, right?
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless you want to impress them or alienate them. So, okay. So Marek. Yeah.
Hello, Raja. So I have a question. Is there a resource in which you show a sample for each element and different body connection positions?
That is the training.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. And it takes time to
Sure,
learn.
sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's the thing. Yeah. So
Okay, thank you. Yes.
yeah. And we do it in the 12 days. So it's not as though we're asking you to commit the rest of your
Yeah.
life. And we are working with all the elements. In fact,
Mm.
one of the reasons why that demo turned out to be so effective as it was, we were actually mobilizing the resources of the higher shock centers the third eye and the crown. I think that's a big part of why this big shift happened.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
yeah. Go deep into your system. You know, the body that regulates everything.
Hmm.
Ultimately, you are what? You have the individual subtle body that seems to go from one life to the next, from the research that on memory, near-death experiences research, as well as people who report memories in the hypnosis of the time between two lives. No,
Yes.
but neither body has a boundary with the rest of the universe. It just the idea that we have a limited body is an illusion created by the. It's a neurological illusion. Antonio Damasio talks about it.
Mhm.
So and what we do is that we do this. We tend to harden this whatever boundary there is between the individual and the collective and lose the resources of the collective. So opening it up, can really produce a great field of potential for transformation. Yeah,
Yeah.
even for then you go down and work with the, for example, we could have gone to the highest chakra centers to gather some resources and come down and gone to the emptiness that she couldn't bear. That might have worked. And but then demo takes, we only have 1 hour for the demo. We can only do so much, and a person can only do so much. Yeah. So yeah. Are there any other questions in the chat? Can somebody quickly look?
Yes.
Louise? Yeah.
There's been more than one question about her eye move. This is the last question regarding that said, notice a lot of organic, rapid bilateral eye movements as she was engaging
Yeah.
in the self-holds and staying with the emotions. Does this perhaps play a role in processing as well?
Possible, but it's not something I pay attention to. Yeah.
And then there was one that had to do with SE and I.
One of the things I don't do is to follow movements or sensations. The only time we look at broad sensations that most people can report. For example, is your breathing easier? Yeah. Is your large area of your body, is it less tense? Most people can report. Is the whole body less tense? Is the expansion of energy in some part of your body, broad area? People can report. That's what we have them. That is as far as physical sensation tracking we allow, because most people are not used to tracking body sensations. The body, the brain cannot track the body. That's what dissociated. So you need to make the resource the body so that you can feel some experience in the body, and that's better done through these techniques rather than the easy to introduce for the therapist, because it doesn't take much for the therapist to say, what do you sense in your body? But you know what? It's hard for clients, especially clients for whom much of the body is not available to be sensed. Right? So it's a weak tool, but it's a wonderful tool. I use it all the time if I want to explore where I am, but not. It's deliberately not good when you're working with emotion, cognition, or behavior. If you then you go to the body and track body sensation, it neutralizes the very state that the cognition and the emotion is related to. So you feel better, but it's not worked with. The capacity doesn't grow as easily. So it might. It's definitely, it's an effective tool, but not as effective, not as quick, not as safe, not as deep in terms of the process. Yeah. Yeah. Next question. Yeah.
Yeah. You've made a reference to heartache being seen on
Yeah.
brain scans. Please share where this is seen.
I don't know. I read some research some time ago that when people are having heartache, that it can see in the brain as a physical injury. They can't distinguish between emotional injury and physical injury. That is because there is actually physical injury, kind of, to some extent. It is stimulated at the level of the heart. People who end up in emergency rooms with signs of heart attack. and then there is no they cannot diagnose it, but they made the term sympathetic heart attack for such instances. Yeah, no medical treatment is needed, but it's from stress or some heartbreak or whatever. So, yeah, so
One question says, is it recommended to take SE before ISP, or it doesn't matter?
so people go back and forth. Some people take ISP and then SC. Especially people who are very dysregulated, then I recommend the ISC training to them. Some people take SC and then come into the ISP training. So I couldn't recommend one way or the other. Because I'm teaching both, I'll say take both. So, yeah, but it's better to take one. Don't try to take both at the same time unless you've gotten enough of SC. Let's say you're done intermediate level, then you can come into ISP training. So, yeah. Christy, yeah.
Yeah. So I'd be interested to hear if it's within the scope of this experience today about the connection between the emotional body and the subtle bodies.
The subtle body plays a role in emotion. So the subtle body, we don't split all levels of the subtle body is related to emotion, cognition, behavior. We don't split the subtle body as having different levels like cognitive, emotional, behavior, as some other systems do.
Okay.
Yeah. Makes it more complicated, and it's not necessary, as you can see. Yeah, we focus on what it can contribute to emotional experience. Earth, for example, contributes more containment as well as differentiation. And emotional granularity is necessary, according to Lisa Feldman Barrett. What is that? The ability to explain emotion in different ways, and that is differentiation that you can have in the body through adding the earth element. But of course, if you're afraid of dying, it makes it impossible to do that, right? Because you have to contain that, process that, embody that before it becomes more differentiated. So different elements, contribute to different qualities of emotions rather than one emotion or the other, or cognition, etc. Yeah. Made it a simpler model. Yeah. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Because we have to do it in 12 days, right? From scratch. We go to why is the practice of embodying emotion, why is it science-based? How is it science-based? How can it, whether you're working with traumatic experience or ordinary experience, improve their outcomes and any therapy modality you're using, and then teach them different ways to expand and regulate different parts of the gross body, then subtle body, then how to connect to the collective body and work with it. That's a lot of very many topics, so you have to have a simple model and it works.
Can I ask another question?
Yeah.
Do people
you can.
Yeah. Do people with more refined energetic systems respond differently than people with sort of denser bodies or ways of seeing the world?
Mm-hmm. I cannot respond to that level of generality. Yeah, I cannot. So, okay. Yeah. Any other questions, Louise?
Yes. When working with PTSD, often heart symptoms are present. In the beginning, it looked as if her heart was affected. How can you work safely with the strong hurt when heart plays up?
Yeah, this is where, unless there's a medical condition that needs medical attention, that we have to rule out, right? So if the person is in the middle of a cardiac problem, we don't want to be treated. You need to send them to an emergency care. But if it just emerges in the context of a process, then this is where the idea of regulating the body and dealing with the emotion we are able to do together. Yeah. And we have a 7-step protocol when the affect tolerance is very low or the physiological dysregulation is very high, then we can, combine these elements in such a way, combine these steps in such a way that it is possible to work with such conditions. Complex trauma is another instance where you have high degree of emotional intensity and high level of physiological dysregulation. And the problem in working with one is what? It kind of eliminates the other. If you focus on the dysregulation and regulate it down, the emotion that is coupled to it, that's actually a state of high dysregulation and stress, gets eliminated. So in ISP, we expand the energy, and that regulates the physiology and the emotion at the same time by making it more bearable. So,
Last one here. How would we approach someone with complex PTSD, emotional neglect, rather than a concrete, discrete event of trauma?
Same way. What did we work with in her? It was complex PTSD. We don't know her history. She has very little affect tolerance. You could see that right from the beginning. So, same way. That's precisely where you work with it. So, yeah, you apply. You expand and regulate. That's why you don't even call it expand or regulate. Expand and regulate. We have these tools, and so. And as we go, we can also look at other cases. You can also go to my website under books, digital resources. There are many other demos there working with different emotions and different cases if you're interested. Okay, I think that's all the time we have today. Thank you very much. And we will see you next week, or if you signed up for the whole series, and you will get the recording, as well as the link to the blog I talked about.
Clarification: by next week, you're talking about that you're offering the somatic experience and the ISP group case consults.
That is true.
Next month.
Yeah, that's what I meant, Louise. Yeah. Okay. Next month, next time. Okay. So, yeah. So, we also do somatic experiencing case consultation on a monthly basis. You can go to my website and look for the dates, or we'll put them and also give you the dates of the various training opportunities in different parts of the world. Yeah. So, okay. Thank you. I'm just looking around to see some more familiar faces. Hi. Yeah. So, we will.
Raja, there's a question about the US ISP trainings.
Yeah, we have one in Chicago now that we have done one module, but you can still join that group. You take the first module on video, and then you do the makeup practice sessions under the supervision of a senior assistant. There are quite a few people joining us that way. And then later in the year, we're going to offer an online training, too. So, but the most immediate North American training is the Chicago in-person training. It's a nice location right in the center of the country. We'll give you information in that long email. So when you get the follow-up email with the link to the videos and the articles, you just go down and we'll give you the training opportunities. Yeah. So.
And do you want to say anything about the new trainings happening overseas and some of our registrants?
I will. Yeah, I will put them. We'll put them all down in the email. How about that? You can just So, yeah. We have one starting in Australia next year, one in Cologne, Germany next year, We also have an online training for Europe next year. All those dates we will give you in the email.
And
Yeah, so
Australia is an online, so it's for the whole Asia Pacific.
yeah, we'll put it all down here. It's an hour and a half. We'll just put it in the email. We'll do that. Yeah. So thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay. See you next month. I'll be in India actually. So okay.